Fabric Gems Boutique is a video podcast where we celebrate the art of quilting. Each episode will be packed with inspiring guests from every corner of the quilting world, sharing their best gems of knowledge, creativity, and passion. Whether you're a seasoned quilter or just getting started, there's something here for everyone to help you create your own gem. Discover the hidden gems of quilting. And now, get ready for Fabric Gems Boutique with your host, Chris O'Connor.
Hi, everyone. I am Chris O'Connor, and I am your host of Fabric Gems Boutique video podcast. Again, this week I'm on location. I'm so excited. I came all the way over to El Dorado, Texas, and we have a special guest, and the name of her company is Quilting Cat, not cats, cat, singular, and I automatically said cat, so I apologize for that. But I have Liz here with us today, and this is her company, her and her husband's company. And I'm really excited to be here because she has some of the coolest fabric. She took me on a tour before we started, and she's got fabric on top of fabric on top of fabric. And it's awesome. And it's like, you know, we people who like to quilt or sew, we love fabric, right? So I hope you learn a lot. I'll take some images afterwards and share them with you on this video, but I want to welcome Liz to the podcast.
Thank you.
We're so excited you're here today, and it's a beautiful sunny day so far. So tell us about yourself and how you got into this mess of fabric. And it's really not a mess.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit.
It's an organized mess. Let's just say that it's an organized mess.
It is organized chaos. So I am originally a CPA. I'm a trained accountant, and we're taping this the day after tax day. I just want to point out. So the bags, that goes away. It's not from the quilting. It's from taxes. So I am a CPA, head of practice, still have a part-time practice. For 20-something years, I got lost in the accounting, and finally learned to quilt. Learned to quilt late in life because I was kind of going crazy, and that's how it all started. A little crazy and a little fabric leads to this.
A little crazy and a little fabric leads to this. But something had to spark you to want to quilt. I mean, where did that come from? Like, did a friend introduce it to you? Did you go to a show? How did that come about?
So, little bit of history. I was raised by, we lived with my grandmother, who was a seamstress for a living. She sewed buttonholes at Donovan Galvani for 55 years in Dallas.
Wow.
Same job. Made every stitch of clothing I ever wore through elementary school. And looking back, none of them had zippers. None of them had buttons. Everything had a zipper. And it occurred to me it's because she didn't want to put buttons in clothes at home. All that to say, I was raised around sewing and never learned how until later. I've always been crafty. I've always crocheted, needlework, cross stitch, the whole colorful fiber arts gamut. And ran into, and part of this story is that I am a lifelong sufferer of depression that is treatment resistant, meaning the drugs work for a little bit and they don't. Okay, so how does that become a quilt? Well, I used to crochet. One of the few things I could do during one of my down periods was crochet, put out some amazing stuff. Because when that's all you can do to think about, unfortunately ended up in the hospital, and you cannot take crochet hooks or yarn into the hospital.
Why? The fibers?
It's a danger.
Duh. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. People don't know. I didn't know. I thought I'd pack up my little crochet projects and my books. I could take the books. But no, you have to leave them just with everything else that can be used to hurt yourself. I get it.
Yeah.
But that was kind of bad. So that happened. Life went on, sold my practice, got into a pretty ugly employment situation that triggered another severe depressive episode. Ended up leaving the job and all the things that go along with that, the heartache, the grief, and knew that, and I should say, I have a saint who supports me, and that's my husband. He's learned about all this over the years. He's also my enabler when you see the amount of fabric we have here. We'll talk about that later.
What a great husband to have.
He is the enabler. But I knew in the back of my mind, if I was going to end up in the hospital again, I didn't want to crochet. I needed to find something else to do.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I could take a sewing machine in with me. The idea was to stay out of the hospital. And I started thinking, what have I always wanted to learn to do? What, I've seen people quilt. Quilts are cool. Didn't really know anything about it. And I have a thing for cats. You might notice if you come visit us, there's cat art on the walls, and my tattoos are cats. And I went on the internet and found this specific pattern. This is Shiny Happy World. Wendy Gratz made these. This is what I wanted to learn to do to stay sane, basically, to give myself something to focus on and not be miserably depressed, just be depressed with a hobby.
Right.
And that was it. That particular pattern started it. We've come full circle now, because that was 2019, I think. That was pre-COVID. We've come full circle because one of the things we'll be announcing soon is that we're going to be selling this as a kit. We finally, yeah. So that's
for
the
all
beginning.
You cat lovers out there.
And there's a dog one. Now to be fair, because I've been told that I leave the dogs out. We're going to have the dog one too. I just had to make the cat one first.
Well, of course.
But that's what started.
Of course.
Right. Of course, quilting cat. But that's what it was. It really, I learned to quilt out of depression, really. And part of why I do this, and I go out and I talk about it and I mention it to people, is because of the lack of understanding around mental health.
Mm-hmm.
People who meet me in the real world, they have no idea I'm depressed unless they know. They can be around me and I'm going through a miserable episode and they have no idea. The more we talk about it, take the stigma away from it, realize there are things you can do. You don't end up, if you think you're going to end up in a hospital, it's not the end of the world. You come out on the other side, even if you can't crochet.
Right.
You find a new hobby.
Yeah.
That and working with therapists and doctors and tweaking meds kind of led us to this. But that's why I learned to quilt. I wanted to make that specific quilt to give me something to do while I tried to push through a major depressive episode.
Wow, what a story.
And that's the short version.
What an absolutely, that is a cool story, really. I mean, I know it's a hard story.
Yeah, it sucks.
But it's a cool story to know where you've traveled, because, like you needed something to do and something to keep you busy to focus on rather than worried about the depression part, right? This is what I'm hearing from you. So correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. It's going to be there. So.
I've been through some trauma, and I think that's why I picked sewing back up. Okay. I grew up similar to you. My grandmother made suits. She tailored suits.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
All of it.
Yeah. I've said this in other podcasts. That's not me. Right.
I can't sew a curve.
But my whole life, okay, which, and I don't know how you felt about it, but my mother sewed as well. And my Nana, my mother's mother, sewed. That's what they did. When I went to school, I was taught how to sew. I already knew, but we had a sewing class, everything changed every 6 weeks or whatever. But the point is everything I wore was handmade. Everything.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I will tell you, and I've said this before, I don't know about you, but I hated it.
Oh, I did too. I despised it.
Because everybody got to go to the store and they could buy all the cool, new fashionable things. I look back at pictures now, and you know what? We were actually more fashionable.
I want it back. Yes, our stuff looked better.
We were much more fashionable than everybody else.
And the clothes were made better.
Yes.
Who knew?
Yes.
The perspective changes.
If you are sewing everything for your kid, eventually they're going to love you for it.
Yeah, save it. Don't throw it away.
Yes. And here's the funny thing is, bell bottoms were huge back in my day.
I'm a little after that, but we did parachute pants and yeah, they would have made some interesting, I'll just.
And all that, and we all know who wears them now, and they are hot. And I'm thinking, oh, honey,
could have made a mint.
That was a long time ago. I mean, that was, but they are made for my style of body, right? And obviously hers, but I just, I don't know. All the fashion does repeat itself eventually. They just update it.
Okay, so to me, that's a really interesting process. And because I'm always interested in how do you get into sewing? How do you get into quilting?
Right.
Why? Because it's not easy. It's work,
No, it's not easy.
right? And it's an art form, honestly.
When you collect seam rippers more than you collect other little toys, gadgets, and no, when you have a seam ripper collection, you realize it's work.
Okay, so that leads us.
So that's
okay, so you did this because you were trying to keep yourself on an even keel and move through the trauma that you were experiencing, which is a great feat. Everybody has their thing, right? It may not be quilting, it may not be sewing, it might be running, it might be whatever it is, right? So tell me, how did that lead you to
this
here, right?
This
into your
and
warehouse.
what y'all can't see is when I talk to guilds, I will ask the mostly ladies, some gentlemen, who here thinks they have the biggest stash? And you know, and they all usually point to the same person. You know, they know who it is.
Yeah.
It's about, you know, how many yards do you think you have? And they estimate. I said, well, you get a prize, and I'll give them a yard of fabric and just something that, you know, something to add to it. Because let's face it, we don't need more fabric, but it's nice to have. And then I remind myself that we counted and inventoried 237,000 yards of fabric. I win.
Okay, say that number again.
200. I don't know the full number. I had it. It's over two. It's 237,000 something. Less than 238. How's that?
Well, if you could see her warehouse, you'd understand.
I
mean, that's amazing.
And what it is. So to get to this, you have to know where the fabric came from, because there, you know, you run into websites and different people selling different things and different fabrics, and some people know different brands. And I didn't know anything about fabric brands, obviously, until I got into this. I knew about Craftsy back in the day. And back when Craftsy started, they offered online classes for painting and toll painting and woodwork and cake decorating and
everything.
You know, quilting, sewing, clothes, everything. They had everything. Now,
they still do.
And so Craftsy, the name is still around. It's a different ownership, different content, but the name is still there. And the idea is that they still teach you how to do so many cool things. Okay, well, back when Craftsy was going heavy and really, really popular, and I still have a membership, they started a fabric line. They started a thread line. They started, my feeling is there's some icing out there from the cake decorating that somebody got their hands on, but I digress. I want the sugar. They made a fabric line called Boundless. The Boundless line was designed to mimic or compete with a Kona type quality. So it's not a lower tier fabric. And I didn't know this when I found it. I just started quilting with it because it was liquidated. It was closed out. And I found a place that was selling it at really good prices. Okay, so how that turned into this little endeavor was, I learned to quilt, right? I learned to sew. I had to go to the local store, or usually I went to a big box store, let's face it, and buy a little quarter yard of this, quarter yard of that to make my little appliques. That's an applique project, by the way, to make my little pieces. And then I learned about things like jelly rolls and that I like those. And I would get a book. I think for Christmas, I asked for a book of jelly roll projects. And I learned about something called background fabric. I didn't know you needed background fabric for I thought I've got a jelly roller too, and I've got a book, and it's going to tell me how to make all these things. And I realized every pattern I read needed something else, and I'd have to go to the store and, you know, drag my little quilty self to the store, because I didn't know what stash was.
Right.
Stash had a whole other meaning in the 60s and 70s.
Yes,
leave it there.
Sure did.
So I wanted, you know, I would take a class. I went to Joanne. I had the sweetest teacher at Joanne to learn how to make this. It was a braid type quilt. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. Let me try something else. But you'd get the supply list and you needed all these different things. So I would go in and I'd have my exact items that I needed. And these ladies who were there would come in with baskets of, I can use this, or I can use this. And I didn't feel like I wasn't a quilter. I was trying to make quilts. and I didn't fit in.
Mhm.
And the last thing you want is to not fit in. I found this fabric. It was at a really good price online when I was buying it as a consumer. And it's what let me quilt with the big girls. It's what made me feel like I have 3 or 4 patterns that I can take with me and a couple of yards of this. And I got to be a quilter.
Mhm.
Found out it was really good fabric at the same time.
Nice.
Because the ladies in the classes and the people I met were like, where'd you get this? You know, and they had to go buy some, and it turned
Yeah.
into a thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was all craftsy at the time either, or boundless is the name of the fabric. So that feeling alone, you know, that was just kind of another ick feeling that turned into something I could work with. Oh, you have to have extra fabric. Well, I don't have that. Okay. So I've got this piece and this piece and this piece, but it's little quarter yard pieces. I didn't know that you needed volume is what I'm looking for.
Mhm.
You need volume. You need a chunk. Okay. So this fabric as a consumer is what led to me being able to build my stash. And of course, when you buy some, you want to buy more. And I bought a little more and a little more. And I found out it was going to not be sold anymore.
Oh.
That was the turning point. And that kind of bothered me. Then there was talk, you know, there's talk in the chat rooms and different places of what's going to happen to it. And one of the ideas was to put it back in a warehouse, let all the people who had bought it up, because when Craftsy sold out, they sold it really inexpensively as well.
Mhm.
So people have a stash of it, and has a little cult following. And they were going to let it all get, you know, sewn and put together, and I'll tell you why that's okay in a second. But let it sit for a few years in storage and then bring it out at a higher price. And that didn't sit well with me. I realized that if it's at a higher price, then you can't build your stash. And, you know, I was a $5 a yard girl. That was just always my price point when I'd go. I wasn't going to spend any more than $5 because I didn't know what I was doing. And I was going to mess up the fabric. You know, you make enough mistakes. You cut the wrong. Yeah. So talk to my husband, my enabler. And I said, you know, there's an opportunity here. There's a whole lot of fabric that they're going to put away. And it was the fabric I used. And I don't know, it just kind of hit a soft spot. It hit this doesn't need to go into storage.
Mhm.
This needs to stay out in the community at a reasonable price.
Right.
So people can buy it. So of course, we're in the middle, of course, when we're filming right now, of a really ugly economic period. And everybody and their mother is raising prices, and we're putting things on sale. So let's just say I don't have a normal business model. But
it
works.
That's, you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
Because here's what I like about it. It works for you.
Exactly.
And this is your business,
Mhm.
and you can run your business how you want. And I think that's what people need to understand is that it's not a chain. Okay.
No.
It's not a franchise.
No.
It's
Him and me.
right. Exactly.
Now there's a guy in the corner over
Yeah.
here who enables all of this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The point is, it's okay for
Mhm.
you to run your business how you see fit.
And you know, we've had people tell us, I've had, you know, everybody has advice, and I'm an accountant. We give advice. We're advisors, and I have to remind myself that's not this, but that everybody does have good intentions. And we've had people say, you're going to have to raise your prices. Well, thank you. We'll take that under advisement. We've had just as many people come to us, new quilters, and say, I'm so glad I found you. I was able to buy what I needed and, you know, build up my fabric supply. I'm like, it's called a stash, you know, a new word.
Yeah.
So we did it for the right reasons. And then there's a faith element in what we do, in everything we do. You know, do we stand out and say we are a Christian business doing Christian only things? No. Are we Christians? Yes. Do we do everything with faith at the front of our minds? Yes. And how does it impact people of our faith, people of other faiths, you know, people of other backgrounds? This is supposed to be an inclusive, this is not corporate. This is, you know, small town inclusive, let's call it.
Well, I think really what's important is you're doing what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you want to keep it at $5 a yard, you keep it at $5 a yard. Now, because of the cost of living, you as a CPA and the cost of rent and all the other stuff, there may be a time where you have to raise those prices. And it's beyond your control because you certainly are not in business to be put out of business.
Right.
Okay. You still have to put a roof over your heads.
Yes.
You have children, you have
I have cats.
Yeah.
I have cats.
You know,
the cats have to eat.
So there is a point where but
Maybe.
when you are running it the way you want it and are successful at it, why would you change?
And every time we think we're going to have to, something changes. Something happens. We either, when we moved into this new location, we split our space in half and built upward, but our rent came down. By doing that, we could keep our prices low. We've partnered with a designer and notion maker. I don't even know, what do you call them? Notion person?
Oh, that's a good question.
Inventor. I call her an inventor. And she has introduced me to a method that I can do and teach, because the joke was it has to be idiot proof for me to sew it, let alone teach it.
Right.
So we've done that, and it's branched into other areas. It just works. Are her tools $5 a piece? No, they are not. But our fabric still is, and it goes with it, and it works out great. So we got in, we decided to do it, figured out all the stuff that goes with buying this much fabric, and we didn't know how much there was. Nobody knew exactly how much there was.
Right.
There were 2.5 truckfuls.
Wow.
And I don't mean U-Haul trucks.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're not talking about small trucks. Okay. You might be thinking like an F-150 or a 250 or even like a U-Haul. Yeah. We're talking semis.
Over the road, 18-wheeler, 2.5 truckfuls to truck them from the Northeast down to Texas. Okay. So we've got these truckfuls. We've got them in. We had pallets. There are pictures online on our Facebook page of me sitting on top of the 63 pallets.
Oh, how cool. How fun.
It was like
a massive Christmas.
It was summer in Texas.
Oh, God. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Warehouses, for any of you who come visit when we have our open house sale and our open hours in the summer, I won't be here in the afternoon. It's 120 degrees. But we had 63 pallets that we went through, organized, counted, inventoried.
Wow.
Did I mention I'm an accountant? So that part came easy. It was what do we do with it now? Well, what we found out, the reason it was okay to have, I hate to call it old, but older fabric.
Vintage.
Yeah, that.
I carry a lot of vintage.
Most
of my fabric I carry is 10 years older.
Oh, that's funny.
10 years or older.
When it was manufactured, and I'm going to try not to get a glare here, it's packaged. And it's sealed. So this is a 3-yard piece of fabric, which means it's sold as a 3-yard piece of fabric. But nothing's getting in it. It's been protected from the elements. And that's why we're able to sell new fabric as brand new fabric. It just happens to be out of print. So that's how it.
People love that stuff though.
It's
telling you,
fun.
you know that.
Oh, I know. I try not to buy a lot of it. I'm not allowed to buy fabric, obviously, because I can sew as long as I want on this little collection. I'm allowed to buy cat fabric.
Oh.
So yes, I like vintage fabric. So that's what we got. And in that, we knew that we had the yardage. We knew we had some charm packs. We have little, let me see if I turn this the right way, little charm packs packaged.
Yeah.
We had fat quarter bundles. We have some half-yard bundles. And then we had kits. And this is the fun, but this is what everybody laughs at. We got kits that looked like this with a barcode on the back, and you can see the side and what's in it. We had no idea what was in it. We knew it had a name. And then we had a lot. And we still have a few without patterns. So we figured it took time. You go through, you figure out what's in it. And the next step was to find pattern writers or the original patterns. Because remember, Craftsy taught these.
Right.
Somebody and several other people with them made this at one point.
Yeah.
But who, what, when, and where, who knows? So we found a couple of them and talked to the pattern writers and said, look, I want to sell these. I want to include them with the kits. One of them was so funny. She said, I'll sell all of them I have on my shelf, but beyond that, we're going to have to reprint them. I'm like, let's stick with what's on your shelf first. I've only got 400 kits, but it's a lot. But the one of the most fun ones was we had one called Sasha. And all it said on the tag was Sasha, and it's a small kit. So sometimes we have it hanging behind us. We finally found out, if you know Shannon Brinkley quilts, Sasha is the name of her tiger.
Oh, I just love that.
And he's a scrappy applique. And if you don't know scrappy applique, it's a technique where I've been told, for the type A personality like me, I want to make it look exactly like the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend said, no, honey, don't do that. You chop it all up into little pieces, you throw it up in the air and you let it fall. Turn it the right way up and iron it down. I said, yeah, we'll see. So she made me one that I can show to sell myself. So she made my sample, but that's how we got the kit called Sasha. And it
I
went.
want to show that
Oh, go
again
ahead.
because I just think if you like tigers, that is just such the coolest.
And can I mention a price point?
Sure.
Sasha's a $40 kit.
Okay. You need to go to her website. And you see her website right above that I'm holding where this kit, right? Okay.
Sasha's a fun little kit. You do have to have your own fusible adhesive. I'm a heat and bond girl, but that's just because it's all I've ever used. But Steam-A-Seam works, and anything that fuses, and it comes.
There are gluers. There are all kinds. I mean,
but we had no idea what these meant. Mm-hmm. So, and there are. I don't know if you want me to go this far, but there are parts of this business where when I say faith plays a part, I'm partly by personality and partly just by being an accountant. I'm a rule follower. Yes, there are bootlegged copies out there.
oh my gosh,
No,
yeah.
I will not send them to you. Well, so funny story. When I went back to working for myself, opened my firm up when I was thinking straight,
Mm-hmm.
and could do my own schedule and do my own thing. And I was going to a Bible study with my mother-in-law and the ladies in there. Some of them are quilters, and they knew what I was doing. And we're just doing our usual thing. And my email started blowing up. Looking at it, I have a cease and desist sitting in my email while I'm in Bible study, and at my in-laws' house, and my face just. Who knows what my face did? I just very quickly and gently packed everything up and said, I gotta go. So the cease and desist, again, is from unnecessary drama that happens in the world, but it worked out oh so good. What had happened was somebody knew that I had bought the fabric, and someone else in internet land had posted a request for these same patterns that I happen to be looking for. Don't know, don't care. That's their problem. But it got through a loyal customer of one of the pattern designers. And she's the one who came to me with the cease and desist, and she had looped in Craftsy, the current Craftsy, mm-hmm. and a couple of other people, lawyers and whatnot. And I'm reading this and I'm almost in tears.
Sure.
Because
it's scary.
Because if anybody's going to be accused of breaking a rule about copyright, it's not going to be me. Like I'm the one saying, no, you can't post that on my site. No, you can't share that. They need to go buy it. I can't, I'm sorry. And I ended up getting in touch with her. She's a known pattern designer. She's a really sweet lady. She realized that my company name was mentioned as part of a cut and paste of a comment, but I was as close as they could get to the person looking for it even. She put me on the trail of 2 or 3 more of the pattern designers to go with my kits. She said, send me a list. Okay. I sent her a list and she said, this is who did this. This is who did this. This is, don't know these. This is who did this. And that's how we got matched up with some of the actual original pattern designers to get. So what we do is our fabric, we figure out what's in it. We know it's $5 a yard, and then we add the cost of the pattern.
Nice.
So yes, that was cease and desist during Bible study, where you just have an, oh my gosh moment, but it worked out for the best.
And usually if you have the right mindset, it usually does. I've been sued before too.
Oh gosh.
And it's the scariest thing. You're just like
paranoid. panicked.
Extremely, like you're going to lose everything.
Like everybody's looking at you now. When I read the email, I knew everybody in the room
Yes.
reading whatever scripture at the time, have no clue, had an eye on me as the cheater.
Yeah.
So okay. So that was one of the things that we did to get.
So
to
this
get the
happens
patterns.
to be another one of the patterns that we kind of briefly showed, but this is a pretty big
It's 11 and a half yards of fabric in there.
package. Let's see.
And there's a story for that.
There
too.
we go. So I just want you to see that they're not all small kits. They can be large kits.
Oh gosh.
She's got a variety. This is 10 plus yards. This is
We have an 18-yard kit.
Pieced Madras, Boundless Fractals.
Fractals.
Okay, I can't. You say it.
Fractals is the name of the. It's the name of the line. It's the name of the
collection.
Collection. Thank you.
And there is a lot of really pretty fabrics in here. But
can I tell you who wrote this?
Yes, please.
So I have. I won't call them stalkerish tendencies, but I spend a little time on the internet. And my husband Keith did not believe me. Like he really thought I'd lost my mind when I went to him with this little brainstorm I had. I said, honey, somebody's got a fabric line on the internet. And I see it. I keep seeing it. And it looks like the style of this other one that we have. That's from Craftsy. I think it's the designer. I think somebody knows somebody. He says, no, they don't. You've lost your mind. I mean, he really thought it was the most far-fetched. He'll support a lot of my crazy harebrained, it's like I Love Lucy around my house. I have some dumb idea and he gets behind it somehow. This one he wasn't going for. It's like, no, I don't think so. I said, yeah, but it is. It's got to be. Didn't drop it. I went, internet wandering, LinkedIning, and digging through websites, and found somebody named. Shoot! I just went blank. Hold on. Oh, she's gonna kill me. I know it's on here. Her company name is Quilt Verve, but it's Christina Trogdon. Random human, right? And I sent her an email and said, I know this is weird. But did you used to work for Craftsy and Boundless and design fabric? Well, yes, I was one of the last designers that they fired when they shut down. I need to talk to you. So she's in Colorado. I book a trip to Colorado. We go chat. Because one of the things I needed to know for some of these kits was, what was it? Was it a table runner? Was it, it was called, twine or twig or who knows? And a couple of them, she said, yeah, that never went to print. There is no pattern for that kit.
Really?
Oh, really? Well, that's going to be fun to sell. She was in between projects, and she's a creative type. I mean, she can design. She designed fractals. She said, no, but I had a few ideas. Really? What you got? She said, give me a couple of weeks. And she sent me a pattern to go with our Lush collection. It's called Diamond Sky. I don't have it hanging, but it's on the website. Very pretty. Very pretty. Oh my gosh. People love it. Hung it. It goes together pretty fast. And I'm in love. I'm like, okay, great. What you got now? What's next? She says, you really want me to write more? Yeah, I do. So I sent her this particular kit. And she designed this one behind you. It's called Mod Cutout.
Nice.
And it's beautiful. And it has a lot of extra fabric to make, an extra little lovey or pillowcase or whatever. But remember, I'm still beginner quilter, even 21, 23, a few years later. I don't sew curves. And again, like I said with my friend Jerry Ann with the applique, if I can't do it, I can't sell it.
Right.
So I said, this is gorgeous. And yes, let's sell it to people who can sew. I need something I can make. She said, give me a couple of weeks. And she came back with this.
That is so pretty.
And it's in person, it's stunning. It's about a 92 by 92 inch quilt.
Isn't that beautiful?
And it just amazed me. So they're the exact same kit. And that's the creative person in her. So she's working on another one for us that we're going to have out
that's awesome.
probably in a couple of weeks to go with the boutique. But yeah, so these are the kind of creatives that we were dealing with. We've got all this fabric, but people can't feel it. They can't touch it. And that's when I think it was my husband's idea actually to do quilt shows. I had never been to a quilt show. I didn't know what a quilt show was.
Well, I didn't know what it was either, and then I just went to one,
Mhm.
and I was like,
Overwhelming?
yeah, yeah. And I know the first year that I went to Houston Marketplace for us that own stores. I don't have a brick and mortar; it's online, but I was out of there like by noon because I was so overwhelmed. And
oh yeah,
and
yes, I was
honestly, and it's for the vendors. It goes, I don't know, 3 days, 4 days, something like that. And that's where you go shop and get all your good deals and find what's coming,
what
and
you're going to sell
what
next.
you want to put in the stores, and all the other little tchotchke stuff, irons and a loso and seam rippers, and I mean, fishing lures,
everything.
I mean, nothing is. And then it was so overwhelming to me. And my understanding is now, since after COVID, it's a lot smaller, but it's still huge.
It's still huge. I never went before COVID.
No, last year was my second year, and I didn't have enough time.
That's funny.
So I'm planning. I would only go for a day. Literally,
that's a hard. We went 1 year and to market, and then we decided to do festival as a shop, as a vendor. But when we started quilt shows, again, didn't know what we were doing. No clue. The one thing I knew is that I wanted people to be able to feel the fabric, and I didn't want to open up every single package or charm pack.
No, because that's a nightmare, because now it's used fabric basically, and you've got everybody's hands on it, that who knows if it's clean and all that kind of good stuff.
Hold on, I brought one over here. So what I did is I made, the first thing I did, we didn't think let's start small. We did Dallas first.
Ooh, Dallas is a big quilt
show.
That
was our first show ever. Is there I'm looking for a flip book. Can you grab one? Of course,
I did see it.
Oh, it's over here, I'm sure.
No, I think it's right behind this quilt. It's right behind this quilt.
Oh, never mind. He's got a book box. Well, sorry. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, I wanted a way for people to be able to feel the fabric. Thank you. So I took our charm packs and I made little flip books. So you could go, and we made a little sign that said "Pet the fabric." See what it's real. It's decent fabric, because it's hard.
It's a brilliant.
It's hard to explain that $5 a yard fabric has a really good thread count.
Yeah.
So this was my manual labor of love.
She's even got the name of it.
And if it had a name on it, it meant we had it in yardage, so we could tell people this is on the website or this isn't. So that was our first attempt to let people feel fabric. And then from
I want to know in the audience, how many of you really love to touch that fabric and you're a little leery about ordering it online? This is a great option for maybe even store owners who are watching this, that do shows. Instead of bringing all these big pieces, create smaller ones. It's an awesome idea. So then we went a step further. So this is our miscellaneous set, but we started doing these for each collection. And this is a legging hanger. Is what it is. And I would take a fat quarter or a fat 8. And this is, for example, I've got a piece that only came in 9 yards. It's beautiful, but not everybody needs 9 yards of it. Right.
My grunge only came in a 9 yard. So we had to start cutting it down. So these are the kind of the miscellaneouses that we cut down, but we take them out so people can actually pet it, feel it, mess with it, see if it's going to pull apart.
And I want to tell you, this has some what's the word I'm looking for? Loftiness.
It's got some stiff.
It's got some strength. I guess.
Yes.
It's got some strength
to
it.
Thread count, and none of those. I don't starch them. I just pull them out of the package. And so we add to it now that we're doing more shows, we add to it so we can take different things. Now, you talk about people being put in the right place for you at the right time. After a couple of free shows, clearly we did not understand how to display. We didn't even have sample quilts. We didn't have hardly any of these that we show. We met, and I'm going to plug somebody here.
Let's go for it.
Cool. I met Michelle Markey of Medina. Have you seen her stuff?
I've taken her classes. I bought her.
I was about to say she teaches classes. She colors on.
I'm trying to get you on the podcast. Maybe you're my end.
Maybe she. I feel like, and I tell her this every time I see her, I feel like we owe her just so much, because we were in Abilene is where we met her. It was probably our third show. And someday I'll show pictures of what our booth used to look like. It looks really good now. And we were asking her questions about market and about this and about that, because she had these great cat.
She does.
She had this cool stuff in the cats, and we kind of bonded on that. And I loved it. But she said, if you want to listen, yes, I've got some advice. And she told us, do this. I mean, she just kept coming up with things. You can do this. You need to do this. Change this. Make this. Do this. Make it. We call it. Well, what's we really call it? We call it an explosion of color, basically. Color everywhere. You want it to bring people in.
Yep.
And meeting her, and when we saw her at Dallas the next year, I said, because she's way away from here. She's a haul. She's a drive.
What,
Hill country, I think,
Mhm.
or somewhere down. Yeah, way down there. So we don't even run into each other very often. But she was going to be at Dallas, and I said, I need you to walk by her booth, and I need you to just see if you think we listen to you. And she walked by, and I hear her say, they listened. And it's just the right people being there at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
We met Annie McHuggs at that same Abilene show.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reverse applique system that we're teaching now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just being open to the right people,
Mm-hmm.
and actually being willing to listen to them and know what doesn't work for you.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things that just would not work for us.
Well, I think that
But yeah, Michelle, she's crazy talented.
extremely talented.
Yeah.
So I met her at last year's Plano's.
Okay.
show.
She's going to be at
Okay.
Plano again.
And and the reason I met her is because I sat in her booth, while she could go to the restroom or grab something to eat, whatever, because that's what I like to do. I like to volunteer. So anyways, and then I went and sat in her class, and I was like a groupie. I mean, okay, for a person who is not a quilter, a wannabe quilter,
Right.
Okay, but it had the artistics of the blocks, and she lives in the hill country and has a lot of I'm a northern girl turned into a Texan, and I love that.
She's your girl.
The Texas stuff.
Yes.
I just was drooling over.
And then she did the guitar, and she did all kinds of different things. I mean,
she's really moving into that. Was it DFT or DTF? DTF now.
Direct
to transfer. Yeah.
Direct, something like that. But she's teaching at Houston.
Wow.
You may have to go sit in a class or two. She's teaching at Houston.
Well, she came up to Dallas actually,
she's to Plano too,
and taught a class at Best Little Quilt House.
Oh, good,
retreats, and I missed it. I didn't even know she was coming, so I was sad because I would have liked to have gone to sit into one of her classes, because I know they would be like.
It's the artistic eye. It's the eye that you don't have. Like you said, you're a wannabe quilter. I'm a numbers person. Everything has to be at a 90-degree angle for me for it to be normal, and me not have panic attacks over something being at the wrong angle. And I'm in this creative world with all these people who just blow me away.
That it comes so naturally.
Yes. And if I've got somebody like her who was willing to say, do this, do this, do this, in the nonprofit world I work in, we talk about collaboration versus competition. And we can collaborate all day and not have to feel like competitors.
Right.
We're trying to get the same dollar.
Right.
If somebody has $5 to spend, we both want that $5. That doesn't mean we can't collaborate. And she just, the advice she gave, like I said, someday, maybe for an anniversary post, I'll do a before, then, and now of our booth, because, oh my gosh.
I totally get that.
It's funny.
I like many of you know that I was in the garage door industry. So my booth in the beginning, very very kind of embarrassing, even though I know I needed stuff, I just didn't know how to put it in the booth.
Or how or what, or how much, or I get it. I mean, the one thing we did that we keep doing is I like shiny things, and I like to play with making things. Yep. So I started making zipper pulls and selling keychains, because I realized that nobody thinks they need to buy more fabric, but if there's something sparkly that catches their attention and brings them into the booth, then they'll at least see the fabric as they walk by.
Right.
But other than that, everything that we do in our booths has been almost a direct result of do this, do this, do this.
And that's great. I mean, we've got to learn somewhere, right?
Mhm.
When you've never been in business and
Not
you've
this
not
business.
really done, it doesn't matter what
Mm-mm.
business it is. If you're going to go out there and exhibit and be in front of people,
Mhm.
you got to know what you need to do to get them in your booth and not have them just keep on walking
Walk on
by.
Yeah, no, I mean, do you need another piece of fabric? No, none of us needs it. Now, when you're starting out and you have the small stash and you're trying to go take a class, you might need another piece of fabric.
Right.
Nobody else gets a pass on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll never tell you need it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue if you want to add to your stash, though.
Me neither. I don't either. Okay, so I know you have a few other things over here. Let's show some of the other things that
Let's
you
see.
have.
What have I got over here?
I've got some.
I've got another charm pack. We've got, we're down to are we down to 9 or 8? 8? 9. We started out with about 15 different charm packs, I think. We're down to 8. I won't tell you how many of each one we have, but it's a lot of some of them.
Mhm.
This is the little wildlife creatures.
That's cute.
They're so cute. There's little
Mhm.
bunnies, and there's a flip book for him in there.
Mhm.
I've got some more fabric. Let's see.
Did we show these?
I think we showed this one, or just that they were
Okay.
packaged. This is the
Okay.
botanicals and just kind of how they look.
So it is by coincidence, okay, that we have purple
It
on.
might be purple, people.
But I love purple. She loves purple. Obviously, it's her company colors. But look how pretty this is. I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see that. Look at the pretty purple. And obviously, look at the pretty blue
Oh, that's
greens.
so pretty.
You know, this is so springy to me.
And these are all
Like-
blenders.
Like water.
These are all blenders
Um,
that people come looking for.
And I love these kind of flowers. Okay. Okay.
That
Is
was a
this the
9-yard
60s
piece.
style? Is that why I like it? Because it's a 60s
Maybe.
style? The flower
The
child,
daisies.
you know?
I figure that's why you like this one too.
Love, love, love.
So these are the ones that we're finally able to cut down. So people who got on our website or came in early and said, oh, I don't need 9 yards of that. Well, you might come back now and see it in a 1 or a 2 because I've been on a cutting spree.
What's the smallest that you cut into a 1 yard?
I cut to a 1 yard.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a perfect blender.
Mm-hmm.
My
That's an
friends.
ombre that goes
This
about
is
4.
a perfect blender. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
This is one that we just now started cutting down. Again, most of them are cut into 2s because if you don't need 2 yards, share it with a friend.
And
it's $5.
it's the color of the season, browns, right? We're going back to
Mhm.
that.
That's your
I
stones.
know it kind of looks, maybe it might look yellowy, but it's really not.
It can be, actually, I've used it with something as kind of a yellow tint even. You can,
Mhm.
because it's a blender, it does so much.
Mhm.
And then this one, a lot of people haven't seen because it was a huge piece.
Oh, look how pretty.
And it's browns and green. Is it green? Browns and greens and beiges. And
I would call it like a super dark
What's that?
hunter green.
I think it is.
But it's very dark green.
I
If
should-
you like dark green.
I should check this out. And solids galore.
Mhm.
I mean,
And she's got a
So
ton of
many.
floral. So if you love flowers, she's got a ton of floral
I will
in her
say-
inventory.
we're down to 175 or so thousand yards now. So I mean, the running joke that I say is, yes, it's out of print. When it's gone, it's gone. Gone is relative.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yes, we run out of things. If there's a charm pack you want to get your hands on, it may be gone eventually. Marshmallow, everybody uses marshmallow. We've got enough of it to keep people quilting for a while.
And some of this is so nice to be for backings. You know, I think a
9
lot of
yards.
people struggle finding backings. Now, I do know that a lot of people I've seen a lot of shows where they put, fat quarters and they match them all and make it whimsical or fun.
That
But
takes time.
Some people, but some people would just prefer like a one piece,
Mhm. No, we don't have any white backs.
Right.
Nothing we have is
Well,
108.
okay.
But
So
a
you make
9-yard
one
piece.
seam.
Yep. But a 9-yard piece, if you're using it for a larger quilt, you're going to cut it into 3 threes anyway.
Mhm.
And we have 3s and a bunch of them that people put together. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the ladies that do the charity quilts, we had one lady do a military quilt,
Mhm.
and she was actually at that Bible study with the cease and desist. But she took a piece of green ombre.
Oh yeah. See, this is pretty.
And she backed the whole thing in green ombre and then quilted it.
I bet the front of it just popped.
Was amazing.
Yeah.
Was amazing. But that was her back.
Yeah.
It was
that's
just
pretty.
so
Very
neat.
pretty.
So yeah, they're doing some really creative things with it. And we have our customers send us, if you make something cool, I want to see it. If you make something that you don't think is cool, I might think it's cool. I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see what people are doing with this fabric. One, I might get inspired and make something. But I just like seeing, I like seeing the creatives. You guys have a brain that I don't have.
When we go to shows, it's amazing the creativity of people and where it comes from. I mean, I can't even describe it. If you've never been to one, just go to one. They have them all year long in different cities, and look up Quilters Guild for your city, and you'll probably find one.
Actually, our website has every single quilt show in Texas and every single quilt guild in Texas with a map.
Nice.
So that's there. I believe he's got it in, there's a link, I think, on the homepage. But yeah, every single one, when they are, there's a calendar for the shows and a map for the guilds.
Now, does that also include what shows you'll be in if people want to come see you?
We need to figure that out. Maybe we need to put a little kitty cat or something to designate that Quilting Cat will be there.
Either that, or you create a page on all the shows that you're going to.
We've got another calendar.
My marketing mind doesn't stop, but it just, maybe you can create a very simple page. Look where we're going to be, and you might be in that one of those towns or cities where they're going to be. I'm going to tell you, you're going to love it. They've got some of the most fabulous fabric I've seen. It is so fun to wander around in her warehouse. I'm like a kid in a candy store, right?
It's kind of it's a good field trip. We have, if you're in Texas, or even if you're not in Texas, we open by appointment just about any time somebody wants to shop. If somebody wants to come in and shop, we've had people going from Kansas to Houston and back and said, we kind of want to stop by. Are you there? Yep. We are. We also open. We have guilds come and do field trips. We've had a group of ladies from Wichita Falls hopped in the car, and one of the ladies handed the driver her card and said, "Go there," and you could tell her where they were going. And it was 6 ladies come into our warehouse. But we've also just started doing some soft open hours every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that we're going to be here in the afternoon until it gets hot.
Nice. Okay, so we've talked a lot today about a lot of different things.
A lot of stuff.
We've talked about our journey and the quilting shows, and they do a lot more quilting shows. We talked a little bit about your website, and after talking about all these things, is there something in particular? Sometimes, when you're talking about things and we move on to something else, something pops in your brain that you're like, I should have shared that, or I want to share that. Is there anything that you feel you missed or want to share with people?
I think the one thing I would I guess emphasize is, again, I pull everything back to depression and mental health. It's not a scary word. It's scary, but it's, you're not going to melt if somebody says they're depressed. If you do think you have an issue with depression, I would say there is a group online. I'm not affiliated with them. They don't know I exist, but it's called the Depression Project. And it's very plain English explanations of maybe what it looks like or feels like, or if somebody you think might be hitting into a deep depression. Don't be afraid, but don't ignore them and don't treat them differently. Just kind of guide them in the right direction, because they may just need a kitty cat quilt to make or something to crochet to get through it. The more we talk about it, the more we're open about it, the more people learn about it. When I married my husband 29 years ago, he didn't know anything about depression. And he's probably, the Mansfield expert on being married to someone with it now. It's just about learning what works for each person. If it's crochet, great. If it's quilting, sure. If it's running, go for it.
Photography, it doesn't really matter.
Just anything to get you through. But it's not as taboo, I think, as it needs to be.
Well, it's not. I would agree with you. Now, I have not been around. I've known people who have had it, but I've not really been around or in relationships with people. So I think that good words coming from someone who's been through it, not once, but a few times. And
just got out of a 2 or 3 month episode, actually.
Okay. And look, she's still smiling, and she's still running a business.
And this is actually what pulled me out. Believe it or not, I went back to the roots. I went back to the cat quilt, and that's what I started making when I started coming around again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Okay, so we're nearing the end here, and how do people get in touch with you?
All right,
we
so
already kind of know.
We've got the website.
Quiltingcat.com.
Quilting Cat, one cat. Now, I have 5, but it's Quilting Cat at the warehouse. There's no cat here. For those who wonder, if you have allergies, that's why we don't have one. I've had several people wonder where the cat is. And usually if you see me at a quilt show, I have ears on. So
you're the cat.
I joke and say I'm the cat.
You're the
So
cat.
quiltingcat.com, definitely. We have a Facebook page that is facebook.com Quilting Cat Crafts. And we are on Instagram that right now just mirrors Facebook. So I'm not going to say there's a whole lot of original content, but I like to show some of the people that I would collaborate with if I had their brain, like the Michelle Marquis and the Annie McHuggs. And then email, of course, it's Liz, Liz, at quiltingcat.com. You can always find us there. And we have a Facebook group called Quilting Cat and Catnip. And that's where kind of some of our more, I won't say hoarders, I'll say collectors. Yes, I hoard fabric. People who have been around and who know us will follow us there, and we can go there and say, hey, does somebody have this fabric or does somebody have that fabric? And we're able to kind of mix and match in the community.
That's
so it's just
awesome.
a little community of showing people what we made.
Yeah.
You know, what'd you make? Let me see what you did with this, or how did you do that? And it's just a little group. It's about 400 people, maybe. It's not.
Hey,
but it's fun.
Sometimes you're looking for that one idea or one piece that no longer exists, and somebody's got it in their stash.
And I'll tell you, everything in this warehouse no longer exists. It's all out of print. It's brand new, but it's out of print. So those are the best ways to get a hold of us. And again, we love shoppers. We love people who come and say, do you really have that much fabric? And yes, we do. And guild groups. We also have a guild program where we will come and talk to guilds. We set up a pop-up shop. It's centered around depression. The idea that this is the picture of what it is. And it's not so scary that you need to run away from people. It's probably somebody you just talked to. So we have a guild presentation where we tell this whole story, how it happened. We bring a lot more fun things to show, a lot more quilts, and set up a little pop-up shop.
Yeah. Honestly, you don't know what's going on in somebody's behind closed doors or behind the face.
No.
And you have no idea. And maybe that's one of you out there that just needs a little support. I'm a naturally happy person, always have been. Thank you, God, for that gift. And
it is a gift.
And truly, I mean, have I had bad days? My ex used to say, do you never have a bad day? Well, of course I do, but I handle it different. Right. But anyways, the point is that just be kind, just smile, just listen to whatever.
And try not to judge. You never know what somebody's going through. Nobody ever knows. So if you do nothing else, just be kind.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Be kind, smile, and give a hug.
No.
No hug?
No.
Okay. Okay, see? I'm glad I said that.
You've learned. Be kind, smile, and see if they want a hug.
Well, that's true.
Because
I do ask.
Because if you come to me, I end up.
I do ask.
Pusher.
I will say that. I don't just walk up and hug somebody. I do ask.
Oh gosh, there are people who will just walk up and
that's
hug.
True. Yeah.
And
you're like,
and they're so cute. I'm like, oh, please don't touch me.
Yeah.
Plus, there's so many people now who have immune. I have a friend who I had no idea was immune compromised, and thought that's one of the few people I would have reached out to and hugged and petted on, and I'm glad I didn't.
Kindness.
Smile. A smile
and
does.
We so need that in this world today.
A smile does so much. I didn't mean to yell at you for.
No, that's okay. No, I'm glad you did. Because it makes sense. It really does make sense, because you're right. People do shy away from that. And especially after COVID, they shy away from it even more, because they're like, don't touch me. I don't know where you've been.
True.
And I get that. I 100% get that.
And some people just don't like to be touched.
Well,
but we hug from a distance.
Exactly.
We give virtual hugs.
I'm going to smile and be kind. And I'm going to say thank you so much to Liz for being here today. We had a great time. We probably could sit here and talk even longer, but I know.
But y'all have quilting to do. Go sew some fabric.
That's right. That's right. So I am Chris O'Connor. Obviously, you know that as your host of the Fabric Gems video podcast. And we're just excited that you listen and watch. I'd love to hear your comments. And if you need anything, obviously go to quiltingcat.com and find some great fabric and support this small business, because that's what I'm all about. I came from the small business world, and I want to help small businesses grow and keep their doors open. So until next time, everybody, we'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Keith. I'm with Quilting Cat Crafts. I'm the other half, maybe the worst half of the partnership with my wife Liz. I just wanted to show you the warehouse here. We are very proud of our warehouse, full of tons and tons of fabric, like 200,000 yards of fabric. So just wanted to kind of let you in on the experience. So when a customer first walks in the door, first thing we do is say, hey, grab a bag. You can borrow a bag and have your shopping experience start with that. We have fabric organized on each one of these shelves with a smaller yardage at the top, the larger yardage at the bottom. We have different solid color ranges organized on different shelves. We have pre-cuts, like you can see, we have a shelf full of charm packs here. We have fat quarter bundles behind you on this one. We also have different quilts that represent the different quilt kits that we have hung up around the warehouse. Every quilt that you see there's a kit available to craft that particular quilt. So we also have different prints available, and what we've tried to do is hang up, you can see these different sample hangers here so that customers can touch the fabric and actually get a feel for the quality of Boundless fabric, because it is very good fabric. It's not your run-of-the-mill, stuff you would find in a grocery store chain. I'm not going to mention any, but it's very good fabric, so customers get a chance to feel it. They can also see it outside of the packaging, because all of this fabric comes inside of plastic, right? So it's all pre-cut to certain yardage and inside plastic. So this gives customers a chance to feel of it outside of that plastic. And if they bring a swatch to match with, they can actually get a much better idea of the color outside of the package. So that's what we wanted to show. I'd say one other thing just real quickly, we do have kits on this row right here. So you can see we've got different kits, some of which have patterns in them like this, and some of which do not, like this one right here. So these are just basically bundles of fabric, right? So different collections, sometimes different sizes of fabric. And so these are actually popular too, because it's still $5 a yard. Some of these have fabric that are, they're out of print and they're no longer available. So this is the only way to get some of the pieces. So, and then we have, some of our most popular kits like Sasha here. And this is actually our very most popular kit. This one called Peace Madras, which is behind me here. And that is super beginner friendly. You can see it's kind of this woven look and design here. And my favorite quote is from my mother, who looked at it and said, how did they get the strips to go behind each other like that? So anyway, no, that's not what happened there. So, but it is all strip piecing. So we've had people tell us before that it goes together in like 2 days flat. So I don't expect everybody to do that, but just, that kind of tells you how beginner friendly and easy it is to quilt and how fast it goes up. And you can see it is a pretty massive quilt. That's 92.5 by 92.5. So it is like a queen sized quilt.
Nice.
And that's pretty much all I wanted to show you today, but thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And here's a few other things. I got a bag hanging out. We talked about fractals. We talked about some of the other items. Will you show us some trolls? I thought those were kind of fun.
Absolutely. So like we have a trolls half yard bundle here. It actually includes the panel inside of it. So we have a quilt actually made from the panel, but I can show you the panel right here. So you can see a little bit more of it, right? But it's actually like a 1 yard panel.
cool.
I think it's almost a full yard. We do sell this for $5 actually. So, and we have different trolls fabric on this shelf right here. But like I said, there's a half yard bundle here that contains 10 pieces plus the panel that we do sell as well.
Okay.
And we have like batik half yard bundles. That's a 5-piece batik half yard bundle. We have this bag here is honey and cider fabric, which I think is beautiful, right? So this pattern is from the Ultimate Travel Bag Kit. And basically it's like these fabrics right here, right? This is from our honey and cider collection. So, and our fractals, and since you asked about fractals, this is our fractal shelf right here. And you can see this is really pretty fabric, you know, like this is our circuits pattern here. And this one is very popular, this radial pattern here. So I think the floral pattern is a very interesting geometric style of floral. So I think it's pretty as well. You know, and we have it in green as well. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything else
And
you'd like to know?
during our podcast, so this is being shot afterwards, but when she talked about height, do you see how high it goes?
Oh yeah. You mean in terms of the
Yeah, all the
all
fabric.
of our pallet shelving, like we had half the space in our old warehouse. I mean, we had twice the space in our old warehouse. So we have half the space here. It's only a 2,000 square foot warehouse. So we had to build up in order to fit everything in because we had 57 pallets of fabric left, you know, and there was just no way to fit it all in here. So
All right,
yeah.
so who climbs the ladder to get up there?
That would be me. So I'm the warehouse manager. Just one of the things she mentioned that she's been cutting down fabric, like this kind of fabric here was not available in like a 1 or 2 yard piece until recently. So she's trying to get to these, you know, bigger pieces of fabric like this that are like a 7.5 yard piece. So people want to buy this, but they want it in smaller yardages. So we're trying to accommodate that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, my friends, this is the warehouse. This is where you can come touch, feel, and shop. And I think you'd have a lot of fun in here. Thank you, Keith, so much.
Thank you so much.
We
it.
appreciate you.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new podcast. There's always something new to learn. See you next time.